Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger, ready to move out.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
This town needs an enema.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
When Gotham is ashes, you have my permission to die. Gotham! This is your liberation.
My mother warned me about getting into cars with strange men.
This isn't a car. 20 years in Gotham. How many good guys are left? How many stayed that way? He has the power to wipe out the entire human race. Tell me, do you bleed? You will.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
He's a silent guardian. A watchful protector. A dark knight. I'm Batman. Let the games begin.
Welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. Here are your hosts, Bill, Jett, Ramey, and Rick Shew.
Hey now, welcome to the Batman on Film podcast. BOF is the sponsor as well as a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. So check out all the shows at batmanpodcastnetwork.com. To advertise on this podcast, go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film podcast, or just go to Batman on Film proper and hit the link. I am the host and the founder of Batman on Film, Bill, Jett, Ramey. With me today is my co-host Rick Shew.
Hello.
Yeah, hello Rick. And we have one of the BOF roundtablers, Justin Kowalski, is with us. Ryan is either on his way to the airport in North Carolina, on his way back to Illinois, or in the plane already from North Carolina to Illinois. And I think this is like the first one Ryan's ever missed. So
I can't think of a time where he hasn't been on.
We'll cut him some slack on that one. And as always, Batman on Film is all authoritative, definitive, and of course the original. All right. So last week we had a really popular podcast. We talked about, I don't even know why it was so popular, because, there wasn't that much to talk about. Just, Ben Affleck not directing the Batman anymore. But, a little bit of news. Yeah, a little bit of news, came out of that. I guess after, I didn't know it, maybe it broke before, but wasn't aware of it. Were you guys, did y'all know that Chris Terrio had rewritten the script for the Batman?
Not at the time.
Okay.
Not at the time. Yeah, not at the time that we recorded. We recorded.
Yeah.
That's a tough combo to say out loud. But obviously before, even before you had it edited and up, Bill, I had news. I was like, I wish we had touched upon that, but now here we are.
Yeah, we're going to talk just briefly about that. This is kind of like, there's kind of like two sides to this bit of news, because on one hand, Chris Terrio is the Academy Award-winning screenwriter of the Academy Award-winning Best Picture ARGO, which was directed, of course, by Ben Affleck. And on the other hand, he also wrote Batman v Superman, and he is the scribe of the upcoming Justice League film that went through all sorts of course correction and rewrites, and they split it into they took away the fact that it was going to be a two-parter, and now it's a one film. Anyway, whatever. Chris Terrio came in, and I don't know if it's a page one rewrite, but he did some pretty quite a bit of polishing on this script, which seems to be one of the big issues with the whole project, was the Geoff Johns, Ben Affleck script. So, Rick, I know you've talked about this, and I wanted to get your opinion. You've kind of pushed back with some of the criticism about Affleck and Geoff Johns. There's kind of like almost a flippant statement by some fans saying, how can they not come up with a good script? So, and so now we know that the script probably was an issue. Terrio has rewritten it. What's your whole take on the whole thing, man?
Well, what people have to understand, and forgive me, guys, I have a very sore throat, but I feel 100%. I just don't sound it, so forgive my voice. But what people have to understand is that this is not a writer's medium necessarily, right? It's a director's and editor's medium more than anything, that being film. So they can, Chris can write an amazing script, and it never sees the light of day. The studio execs will say, well, we need to change this or do this or what have you, and it's just his job to accommodate those people that are basically paying him to do so. So I always want to just note that because, even for someone like myself that has a very mixed bag opinion of BBS, I don't blame his script for the problems because I just don't know how much of that script was really his in terms of his initial vision, right?
Yeah.
So right,
screenwriters, they come in, and of course the story. Zack Snyder wrote the story. David Goyer did the first script, and he was hired to come in and basically, I guess,
write dialogue.
Yeah, polish the script and do what Zack Snyder wanted to do. And I think it's important to note that film is a director's medium. It's not a writer's medium. It's not really even an actor's medium.
That's what I just said. Directors and an editor's medium. I might add.
True.
Right. But yeah, absolutely. It's not a writer's medium, and it's certainly not an actor's medium. So with that said, he's obviously very talented, and I have faith that he can put a script together, even for someone again that thinks that BBS was a mixed bag, that thinks that they should stay away from the toxicism of some of the previous films. I'm not concerned about his writing. But on a side note, and I don't mean to like have a course correction on this topic here, but have you guys also noticed this online petition for Zack Snyder to direct?
No, I mean that's.
And he has a whopping 3,000 people that have signed it. And I said, you know what? If that was to happen, that would be exactly how many people would actually approve of it. The 3,000 that pushed it would be the same amount of people
I still think.
Now that's got to be a bit. That's on him, by the way.
Yeah, that's got to be a bit.
He doesn't get a
petition, don't you think? It's a bit to get. There've been articles written about the petition where they've, referenced the petitioner and who just so happens to write for a particular website. I just had a hard time.
Yeah, it's a joke. I mean, I feel like it's like a non-story. It's like, okay, it's a joke in a blip of time, but it's not really. It has no serious intention of having, Zack Snyder direct Ben Affleck's The Batman. So
absolutely. But legitimate people have referenced it. I mean, we even did on Twitter, and we did it in a mocking fashion. I'm just saying that it certainly got people's attention, and for me, it's just more comical more than anything.
Yeah,
so I'm not bringing it up as a valid story because it certainly isn't. What I guess my point is this: is that for the 3,000 people or whatever, or the people that want that, it is a director's medium. I'm not going to blame Chris on BVS, and I have faith that he can put a script together that is noble.
However, that's Mr. Terrio you're talking about.
That's Mr. Terrio.
If we talk about
because if I say Chris, Bill, I don't want.
There's only one Chris on this show.
Yeah, if I say Chris, I don't want people to think I'm talking about Nolan. Your best friend, right?
Yeah. Yes. But
I didn't have any problems. I mean, well, let me back up. I did have problems with the BVS script, but I don't think it was terrible. I think my biggest issues were how it was put together and some of the, I wasn't a huge fan of Jesse Eisenberg, but if you read his dialogue without some of the tics and stuff in his performance, it may have sounded a lot, more smart and put together. It's
actors
kind
ruin
of
everything, brother.
Huh?
I said actors ruin everything, brother.
Yeah. I mean, someone posted on the board the other day, and I thought it was a good point. They said, Akiva Goldsman, wrote Batman Forever, but also wrote a whole slew of great films.
Well, he won an Oscar for A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And his job was to write a goofy comic book movie.
Exactly.
Script. That's what he did. And I think a good writer can write anything. It's just. Yep. What's the job and what are they being asked to do?
Let me ask you this, Justin, because you're maybe more of a, I know we're certainly more of a comic book guy than Rick and me as well. And I am, I think we're all three pretty well versed on comics, but I think you read would it be fair to say you read a wider range of comics than just Batman on occasion?
Yeah. I mean, I have a good variety of stuff I get. Yeah.
All right. So my question is, and what I want to get your thoughts on is going back to Affleck and Jeff Johns writing the script, and like this idea that how in the hell can a dude who's won an Oscar for a screenplay, that would be Ben Affleck, and Good Will Hunting, who also he wrote The Town and so forth, and Jeff Johns, who has written a lot of really, really good DC comic books. How can they not come up with a decent script? There's like almost this disbelief that they should just be able to, I don't know, just sneeze or burp and this and here's this fantastic Batman script. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. First thing is, I feel like, when did they have the time to really sit down and work on a script? Mm-hmm. I mean, we already talked about Affleck's crazy 2016 year. Mm-hmm. And in the midst of all that, directing, editing, producing, traveling, promoting, there probably was a genuine, attempt to write this movie. And, there's probably been some drafts. And then it sounds like, okay, there's probably some studio pressure. Hey, we got to get this going. I'm not happy yet, but we got to move forward. There's pre-production things we got to do. I'm guaranteeing there's the input from Jeff Johns. Well, I can't guarantee. In my heart, I'm guaranteeing Jeff Johns is probably, here's some ideas we can pull from. Here's some stuff from the universe. And, between him and Affleck going back and forth, they probably had some decent stuff going. It just wasn't finalized. And I think it all kind of comes to a halt right now because, obviously, Warner Brothers didn't like it because they bring in Terio. So it probably just wasn't at its finished, it wasn't where they wanted it to be. I mean, they couldn't get it done because I don't feel like you can get something done well if you don't have enough time. I mean, if you're rushed, it's going to be crap. I work, I'm just saying I do stuff creatively, and when I don't have enough time, it's not going to be my best work. It might be usable, but it's not the best.
Yeah, great analogy. And I would also say, and I told people, especially when it comes to Jeff Johns, that there's just disbelief by some fans. I'm like, writing a screenplay and writing a comic book are two different things. You're writing for and you're also writing for a completely different audience.
I mean, I saw the thing about Paul Dini, writing, and people go to that a lot. And Paul Dini writes great stuff. I love Heart of the Hush. I love the stuff that he's done. But in his years of working in the entertainment industry, I don't think there's been a single film that he's written. I know he was tapped to be a part of the Batman Beyond thing a long time ago, but I mean, nothing came of that. Yeah. It sounds good. I think when you think about it, this guy loves Batman. He should write. I love Batman. I'm not writing the Batman movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that they bring him up and Bruce Timm all the time. And my thing is guys, if it was going to happen, they probably would have went to those guys. And and I'm sure at some point they've talked, we know that they were involved with the Batman Beyond project almost 20 years ago, but, anyway, so, I just think this whole thing, it doesn't worry me. It does tell me that the script had issues. They needed someone else to come in and help them with it, help them get the thing done. I
think some of the ideas maybe that Affleck had, would still be there. I mean, if Chris Terrio's is writing, somebody he trusts, he might say, "Hey, here's where I want to go. Take a stab at it, buddy." I think Chris Terrio doesn't worry me. So,
no, I
Rick,
agree with that.
let me one more thing, and then we'll move on to the mailbag. Rick, did you notice? And really for both of y'all, did you notice just the response to our last podcast? And the response to the things I've written on Batman Film regarding Ben Affleck leaving. I wrote a opinion piece, a part 1 of the opinion piece yesterday. Well, the response is completely different than it was just a few weeks ago. Especially, when it came out that the Batman got pushed back, and that's when the whole thing really started to snowball, with Affleck. And then, of course, he goes on, he's doing publicity for Live by Night, and he's telling Jimmy Kimmel and whoever that, I'm still directing this, blah, blah, blah. And, there were a lot of FUs and you liar and all this, but the response is completely different. I think I see a little bit of people starting to come to grips that they can't just chalk it up as everything is okay, and they're starting to say, maybe a good thing, let's demand some better quality stuff from Warner Bros. When it comes to the DCU. Any thoughts on that, Rick?
Yeah, I would just say that I think reality hit a lot of people. It's kind of I think that when this was released, the fact that he wasn't going to direct it solidified a lot of things that you were saying. It also solidified sometimes our perception on how people will respond to things, because a great deal of people went from, that'll never happen, he's directing it, you're lying, breaking news, he's not directing. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what, I think him not directing is actually a really positive thing. I think it's going to be good. I think that, you know what I mean? It was like, come on, guys. But I think, to be fair, there was a shift where some people started to, publicly, raise their eyebrow a little bit and say, what exactly is going on here? This isn't normal, right? There's something up, and not sure exactly what that is, but I think people are starting to realize that there are issues. Yeah, there are the faction of people that are justifying no matter what happens along the way. It's crazy, but at least there's a shift, and I'll take that all day long.
All right. Any thoughts on that, Justin, before we go to the mailbag?
Yeah, I think I said I'm sticking to what I said last week. I'm just waiting for the other stuff to come out, and I'm crossing my fingers. I hope Affleck stays with it, and because if he doesn't, then I think that's bad news. Right now it's still not good news, but I'm gonna cross my fingers.
All right, guys. We're going to answer your questions here best we can. So here we go. Had about almost 30 questions on Facebook, so I'm going to stick with that for a while. And some of the questions are kind of sort of the same, so hopefully I'll, if I don't, say, oh, this is from Joe Blow in, Racine, Wisconsin, or whatever, know that we are getting to your question, which kind of lopping them in together. All right. Mauricio and Craig, kind of together, because Mauricio asked a question, then Craig responded, and basically what he says is, with all these changes over at Warner Brothers, why are there still these huge problems behind the scenes? Studio interference, refusal to just let the creators be creators. What gives? So, all right, Rick, go ahead. What do you think, man?
Oh man, it's just, we don't know exactly what all is going on anyway, so let's be fair there. But we have an idea. And this is money. It's a lot of money behind a film like this. It's multi-millions of dollars. And so just by the very virtue of that fact, there's going to be a lot of bureaucracy, right? There's going to be a lot of people that have they want their opinions heard, and people can't get on the same page. My hope is that they can reflect on what went wrong with the films that have already launched and say, okay, so here's the thing. We need to back off and give Chris Terrio, we need to give him his breathing room. Let's let Affleck do his thing. Let's start trusting people, because maybe we're the ones mucking this up. I can only hope, right? Because they have two options. They can help course correct this and back off, or they can help just continuing to make this worse. And so it's my belief that if money is what's driving them, maybe the latter, making it worse, is something that they will wake up and say, perhaps we're contributing to making it worse. And, at the end of the day, this is about making money. So I would just say this. Let's just hope that is what's happening, that they are seeing their what's the best way to phrase this? I'm trying to be a little politically correct. They're just seeing they're seeing that they have made some mistakes, right? And so let's hope that they are making the right decisions going forward. Because if they do not, and we have a couple more films that are garbage, then this whole thing is dead. It's 100%. There's no legs. It doesn't split off. It doesn't have standalone films. It certainly doesn't have a Justice League sequel, and nobody wants that.
Okay. All right. Trevor, he has several. He has 3, but I'm going to try to, I think one of them, he talks about with Chris Terrio doing the rewrite, will this current script still have Ben Affleck and Jeff Johns' original premise? I think we already discussed that. Yeah, right. Justin talked about, they should have,
possibly.
Who knows?
Parts and pieces.
Yeah, exactly. It says, he also says, do you think Ben Affleck will be hands-on on picking the director? So, in other words, will Ben have a say on who directs the film? What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
still producer.
I still think that, he's still producer. He still has clout with Warner Brothers. I feel like the guy has a vision, and he's probably going to partner up with somebody who is, shares that idea. And really, this may sound weird. Director usually kind of runs the show and has a vision, but I feel like this really is something that Affleck has put a lot of thought into, and he's probably wanting to team up with somebody that shares his idea. Because if somebody comes in and pulls like a Schumacher on him, he's not going to stand for that. Like, and that's... even bringing him on the Justice League set sounds like he has a little clout behind the scenes on that. So hopefully, it's someone who has the same ideas and aesthetics and can work well with him.
And that's why he should have continued to direct the film. But anyway,
I know. That's in the back of our head.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to direct it, man.
Maybe he's going to be the new director.
Ben
Affleck.
He doesn't want to direct it.
He doesn't direct it.
He doesn't want to own it that much. I don't think. I just really don't.
I'm gonna get off on a tangent. I wrote about yesterday. I can't help but, I'm not questioning his heart at all. That's not what I'm saying. But I do wonder how much of his heart is in this any longer. But that's a whole different topic. But Rick, again, a film is a director's medium. What kind of director is going? Look here, you're following Chris Nolan. You had Tim Burton, and whether you like it or not, Joel Schumacher at the time was a well-regarded director. I don't, Flatliners and other things he's done.
And on that note, he was a well-regarded director. He did, Flatliners and Lost Boys, and he did he did some great films. But let's also keep in mind that Schumacher was a hero for a while. Batman Forever was a success.
Yes, it was.
And a lot of people look at him for saving the franchise at that time in 1995-96. So there's that, right? I just want to point that out as we're using that as an analogy. That ship sunk with Batman and Robin in 97, but Batman Forever was, he was the man at that time.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So anybody who wasn't around or was too young then, that's just a flat out fact. Schumacher was regarded as the dude who saved the Batman film franchise. Yeah. He was.
That's why they put Batman and Robin in the turnaround so fast.
Exactly.
It was 2 years between those two movies.
Yeah.
McDonald's really liked him. Like, great, we don't have a goose-spooing,
penguin,
nose-biting penguin. We can actually was right.
But go ahead, Rick. Talk about this. And it's a good topic. What is a named director going to sign on for this project? A lot of people talk about David Fincher. I don't see David Fincher doing this. No chance in hell doing this film.
Yeah.
No, and just if you're just now tuning in, I'm so sorry I have a bad cold, but I just want to apologize how I sound. Here's the thing: is that we talk about directors that would sign on to this, right? It's kind of it's a two-part opinion I have on this. On the one hand, a director would want this job because it's Batman and it's a lot of money, okay, and the notoriety that comes along with that. So there's it's going to appeal to a lot of people. On the other hand, there's a lot of people that say, I don't want to touch this universe. Right now, the problem with the DCEU right now for filmmakers and actors for that matter is that there's so much riding on them. They can't afford to have a bad film. Where if Iron Man 4, there was never an Iron Man 4, right? Was 3 was the last one? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I thought so. So if Iron Man 4 came out tomorrow and it just didn't do very well and it wasn't that great, that in the long term, does that really damage Robert Downey Jr. and Marvel? No. It doesn't. But if Batman comes out, if a Batman solo film comes out in this DC universe and it's not good, that's problematic. That's a big issue. And I just don't know if, like I said, on the one hand, people are jumping on it because they want the money, they want the notoriety, it's Batman, all that. And at the same time, but gosh, why this pressure? There's already enough pressure as it is to do these films. But now I'm responsible for helping course correct an entire franchise. Right, and I'm not able to have the creative control to reboot and start over. I have to work at the parameters that are already established by Zack Snyder and company, and so that's a problem.
Yeah,
I am and I've said it many times. I am a fan of the filmmaker-driven approach, and I like when filmmakers come in and make a pitch, whether it's for Batman or whatever, Superman, and say, "This is how I envision this." Here's my script, my treatment, and it gets green lighted, and then they go from there. And, a lot like how when Chris Nolan got the job, he got green lighted, he made his pitch, and then he hired David Goyer to write the screenplay. He polished it up, and then we had Batman Begins. So this just feels for the complete opposite of that, and frankly, it's the complete opposite of Batman Returns as well. Even though I'm not a fan of Batman Returns, I still will defend Tim Burton's right to make the kind of Batman film that he truly wants to make in his vision. So, and I would say that for any director. So, I mean,
yeah, and Batman Returns was, I don't like it any more than you do, but that's a Tim Burton film. It is.
Yeah,
that's his movie.
I will.
And if you love it, then good for you because. You must really love Tim Burton, and so that's great. I'm not being sarcastic. That's great if you're a Tim Burton and Batman. If you're a Tim Burton and Batman fan, Batman Returns is your movie, right? I'm not necessarily the biggest Tim Burton fan.
Yeah, but my point is, I will defend him being able to make that movie anytime. I'm not going to sit here and say, even though I don't like it, I'm not going to say, well, he shouldn't have had the creative control to do what he wanted to do. That would be stupid for me to say that. And
I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right.
Yes, that's exactly. So, it's going to be interesting. And let me say this to everyone listening is that, if they do announce a director, don't break out a conga line because it really doesn't mean anything. How many times is there a director announced for a project and nothing ever happens?
Yeah.
We're gonna have, this is gonna be,
Toro.
Yes.
Yeah, a few months.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna have to ride out 2017. And that means ride out Wonder Woman and more importantly, ride out Justice League to see what's gonna happen next. So, alright, Matthew, he asked, and I'll get y'all's take on this. What can we, the fans, do to help the current state of the DCEU? Is there anything we can do, or do we have to just sit back and watch? And then Jorge responded and says, "It feels like I'm watching the Hindenburg going down in slow motion every time I read DCEU news." I get where they're coming from. So, what do you suggest? I don't think petitions work. I can tell you that. So I wouldn't, Matthew, I don't think going to change.org and coming up with a petition is going to make a difference. But to me, it's just not, don't be accepting of the status quo or the way things are. That's not going to change anything. Rick, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I would just say that, make your voice heard in a polite and constructive manner. And, and do it on the appropriate sites like ours, for instance.
And
because people read it.
Warner Brothers reads social media.
They absolutely do.
So
right? They have a department that is dedicated to that.
Yes. So they will, if you can do things, in a respectful manner and point out, why you think that, I'm sure they'll take note. They listened. The most important thing is it's with you protest with your wallet,
Yeah.
Batman.
My God, Bill, you and I, how many times did we see Batman v Superman?
Yeah.
And I liked it. I liked it better than you did, so I enjoyed it more than you did. But still, it wasn't a home run for me.
Look at the
saw it like 8 times, I think.
The course correction that they made after BVS, that was as a result of fans and the general audience. And you can throw in critics too. And critics, yes, exactly. So, I don't feel helpless. I don't think that's the. I get that you feel helpless that you can't do anything, and you see all this going down, and it kind of sucks. But just hang in there, man. Things will get better.
Hang in there. There are people at the studio that still see 900,000. I'm sorry, 900 million worldwide, and they're like, that's a lot of money. Well, what are we changing? What are we changing? Why are we changing anything? And it's the hearts and minds of people like that we have to make clear. Like, you got lucky, dude. The film didn't even deserve that, and it should have done more. So
it's tough to do as a fan to tell fans, well, don't go see Wonder Woman, don't go see Justice League.
Don't go see it 10 times.
Yeah,
right. We're all going to go see it, support it. Go see it. Go see it twice. Let it absorb, let it sink in. Go see it one more time. But if it's not very good, don't be Rick. Don't go spend $300 on BVS when it was a flimsy B-. All
right. Okay. Let's. Here's a question from Ben Wilson. I've got this one's lengthy, but I'll get to the point. It says, say Wonder Woman, Justice League gets less than stellar reviews, yet pulls in decent enough box office the studio would be happy with. This, okay, I know where he's going with. What he's saying is, and it's a good question. Wonder Woman and Justice League make a lot of money. Maybe not as much as Warner Brothers wants, but still a lot of money. But the reviews are the same as Suicide Squad and BVS. Is that going to change anything at all with the course of the DCU? That's what.
Let me, if you don't mind, this is one of my favorite topics. I'm gonna just say this. Yes, it absolutely does. I've got 2 words: Ben Affleck. That's what it changes. He's out if that happens. Gone. 86. I will almost guarantee that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
would you say pre or post Justice League?
Oh no, I would say post Justice League because Wonder Woman is not, and we don't even know if he's in it. I doubt it because it's a period piece. But for sure,
there's present day stuff.
There's present day stuff in it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so he may be, but regardless if he has a cameo or not, neither here or there. In terms of the larger point I'm making, I think it's Justice League that is that is the breaking point for him in my view.
I don't like I said, and I think Justin asked me last week. I don't think I cannot see them going into production on the Batman until next year, until Justice League comes out and has its 2-month run or whatever it's going to be once it hits out and goes into 2018. I just don't, because if you start making it and Justice League is a total cluster F, and then you I don't, you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah, if they're in the middle of or have launched principal photography before November, I would be very shocked about that.
Yeah. Man, Justice League, I was thinking about this the other day. It's going to be a rough November because you got Thor coming out, which we haven't heard anything about, but there's actually a pretty decent buzz going on behind Thor.
Aren't they doing cast. Like Planet Hulk type deal with it?
There's it's kind of like a mishmash of some things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got Hulk, and I mean, I don't want to get into all the details. This is a Batman show, but you got that. It's sandwiched between that and Star Wars. The more, it sounds like a bigger deal a while ago, but current situations going on, it feels like, man, some people are super pumped on this Thor movie, and not a single trailer or nothing has come out. There's been one photo.
Yeah.
There's a good buzz going on that. I just think about that and all the negative stuff going on surrounding the DC stuff, and I don't know how it can pull $1 billion. I don't know how, unless it's so fantastic. People are like, man, this movie is freaking great, until Star Wars comes out. It has literally till Christmas to make those dollars. But
What's the how many weeks are in between the release of about 4, 5 weeks between?
Star Wars or Thor?
Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars comes out December 15th.
Yeah.
The 15th, and
yes, sir.
Justice League is what, the 17th of November, 18th, 17th of November, something like that.
Yeah.
And Star Wars is going to take.
I'm sorry. Someone's going, he doesn't even know the date that's Justice League is going to be released. Okay, sorry.
Well, and bringing up Star Wars and Thor, for that matter, is relevant in Star Wars in particular because, pardon me, guys, I'm so sorry. Is that that's going to take up a lot of oxygen, right? Because it's the new episodic chapter, and it's the last film with Carrie Fisher. And there's just going to be a lot of buzz around that, right? And so,
comes out the 17th of November.
17th.
Yeah,
I said 17th.
And look at Lucasfilm.
So take that, fanboy guy.
Full suite at that point, you know?
Yeah.
Full suite.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be good.
That's a good,
right,
Justin. That's just a good take you had. Is how in the hell?
Sorry, I was just thinking, like, man,
how in the hell?
Thor comes out November 3rd, so you got some
2
time,
weeks,
but
yeah. And you know what? I like the Hulk. I wish there was another solo Hulk movie. So just having the Hulk in Thor is going to make me want to see that movie a lot.
Second Thor movie, which I think that's kind of at the bottom of the MCU list of movies, just kind of there, you know. But it made close to what Man of Steel made. Mm-hmm. So a Thor sequel that was mediocre made close to the dollars that, you know, man.
Is that just domestically or is that worldwide?
I think it was domestically.
Yeah, I was curious.
But I think that just it tells you, like, Marvel's just a brand now, man.
Branding, yeah, exactly.
You can put Marvel presents dog food and people will go see it, you know?
Flipping Ant-Man made money and was success. I mean, which I liked Ant-Man. I'm not going to...
that movie had a director problem. I mean...
Yeah, it did, yeah.
You know, a lot of the Marvel movies, I feel, get a lot of grace because of, you know, the track record is, they're audience pleasers. I think their villains and stuff are pretty mediocre. I think DC's got the best villains out there. Sorry, I don't want to go into a DC versus Marvel thing. No. Direct mail to Ryan.
Yeah.
So, hey, listen, I'll go there. DC is superior to Marvel on every level except for the current films.
Oh, yeah. I would say they have the most recognizable characters, but that's slipping soon, because when Guardians of the Galaxy, who are nobody, are now a household name, like, my mom knows who Rocket Raccoon is.
Wow.
Okay. You know what I'm saying?
And everybody in the world knows who Deadpool is now, too. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Which also, it also performed better domestically than Batman v Superman. Deadpool.
Yes, but that's okay. Technically, but that's not MCU.
Yeah, that's Fox.
That's the Fox X-Men universe. But anyway,
well, that's even worse. So imagine if they had the actual Marvel stamp on it.
Well, that's the thing. It does have. It is. You do see the Marvel thing even before those movies. So it's just not. But you know. Anyway, we're going to fall on a tangent here. All right, this is right up Rick's alley. This is from Dan, and a lot of these, golly, guys, y'all can really write some good questions. They're just. I'm gonna have to. I apologize for cutting them short. Dan Wilson. This is right up Rick's alley. It says, although I feel he will stay, Ben Affleck, many are suggesting that he might drop out as Batman altogether. If he did leave, what would that do to the DCEU landscape? All right, Rick. This is, like I said, he's throwing you a straight up. Fast pitch, no breaking ball right here, right over the plate. Dude.
All right, so if Wonder Woman does well, and we all hope it does, and then Aquaman, when is Aquaman projected to come out?
That's going to be it's next year.
Next year, okay.
So Aquaman's not even in the Aquaman. As far as Aquaman's coming, but it's going to be a post Justice League movie.
Right, and okay. It's tough. It's a very, very good question, and it's
October of 2018 is Aquaman.
It's a tough one to answer because here's the basic bottom line: if they have other films that are slated and that are truly in pre-production, they'll recast it. They'll recast Batman.
Yeah,
they don't want to, but they'll do it.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So
have they done it before, right?
Right.
Yes, they have.
You're right. So that's it. That Batman, Bruce Wayne that exists in this universe will still exist, just under the helm of a new actor, which will be really, really deflating.
Yeah, and I think that would probably kill this incarnation of a solo Batman film. The whole Ben Affleck script. They would go a different direction altogether.
We would get another solo Batman film until they were able just to reboot. The whole.
Yeah, and he talks about Aquaman and James Wan, and you had brought it up. That film's happening no matter what, what. And from what I've been told, and there is some positive buzz about that because of James Wan, but I think that they're doing the smart thing, but because they're kind of, from what I've heard, it's going to kind of be its own thing. It's going to be, yes, it's in the DCEU, but they're not going to be making references to the DCU. They're not going to be cameos. It's going to be an Aquaman film. And I think that could be where they are heading with a lot of these solo films. So, moving on, Enrique says, okay. Well, let's address this, because this is good. I think the panic over the state of the DCEU is overblown. We're getting 2 films this year, and they should be big hits. Will something like Rotten Tomatoes' fresh score finally relieve so much critical fans? Will decent reviews calm their fears because good box office hasn't? Okay. I could have. Okay, Ricky, just let me say this. Don't take anything I say personal in regards to your question. And what he's saying is, y'all get what he's saying. He's saying that he thinks the criticism and panic is overblown, that Suicide Squad and Justice League were big hits. They made all sorts of money. To hell with what critics say. If Rotten Tomatoes gives Wonder Woman and Justice League fresh scores, will everyone calm down and relax? Okay, first of all, Suicide Squad made more money than Warner Brothers expected it to make. I will give you that. Justice League did not. Okay, you can tell me, sit there and say,
BVS.
Oh, I'm sorry.
BVS.
I'm sorry. BVS. Got Justice League on the mind. BVS did not make, in Warner Brothers' eyes, Justice League disappointed. Period. It disappointed the box office. It disappointed among mainstream audience. With its cinema score is the indication of that, and it split the fan base. That's the bottom line. It caused. Talk about fans being panicked. Look at the response to BVS. They changed everything about Justice League. They changed everything. They course corrected. They, for lack of a better term, I don't want to use that word. I'm going to change it. They took some who knows how much power away from Zack Snyder. He didn't make Justice League like he made BVS or maybe BVS. I was going to say Man of Steel, but you had Nolan as a producer on that, and he kind of kept everything in line. So, I think what's going to calm fans' fears and quote unquote panic is, how about some good damn movies?
Yeah.
How about some good movies? Okay, guys, what's your thoughts on that?
Here's my thoughts. You can make all the money in the world, but if people hate it, that hurts, man. I feel like Warner Bros. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like if it had a better, critical reception and made this, made less. Let's say it made $800 million. People made. I feel like they'd be like, okay, people love this. The critics love this. I don't know why we didn't make it. Maybe we release it in March. There'd be other reasons why they would, put out there, because we release it in March. It's not a good season for films. I feel like they'd be happier if it had a better critical reception.
Yes, absolutely.
That way you could move forward with Iron Man. That didn't make $1 billion, but it had a good reception overall through fans, and then moving forward, that's where you kind of built that trust.
Yeah, you can't maintain
making all the money's great, but the next one out the gate may not.
You can't maintain this quote unquote box office success if you're putting out crappy films and your brand starts becoming tarnished, because frankly this brand it's tarnished right now. That's just the fact of the matter.
Suicide Squad was like, it's gonna save it. I mean, again, we already said it made enough money. It connected with people somehow, but man, that's like 2 out the gate. I'm not including Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel had it was divisive, but I feel if you look at it, there's people that thought it was a good film, but
it's by far the best out of the.
It's the best reviewed. It's the best reviewed, and it's got a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. Rick, any thoughts on this?
I think
overreaction. Do you feel like it's just got to, at some point you got to have some. It's not just box office. Yes, you need some critical positivity, and you need a better vibe with your general audience with these films. Yes. Okay.
We need some good juju, man.
Yes, exactly. That's a good way to put it.
With Enrique saying, we're getting 2 films this year that should be big hits. BVS should have been a big hit out the gate, right?
Yeah.
That's why there's panic.
That's a very short-sighted thing. Hey, we're getting 2 films this year. All's great. Like, no,
they were coming anyway.
They were coming anyway, and
Wonder Woman was already finished for all intents and purposes when BVS came out, and Justice League was done with pre-production, and they were about to start filming in just 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. So, these were coming no matter what. I think what you're seeing is that there's not a third movie in there, this year. So we shall see. Well, we've been saying for the last several weeks, 2017 is going to be tell us everything we need to know with the DCU by the end of the year. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one, and I'm trying to go quicker here. Josh basically is asking, is there, if the DCEU flops with the next 2 films, do you see Warner Brothers just moving away from DC-based films altogether? Hell to the no. I will say that, and especially with Batman. Batman will continue. I think they could change. I think you're seeing I said this before. I think you're going to start seeing, maybe they do go back to more filmmaker-driven films, because Aquaman it's James Wan, and I think it'll be under the umbrella of the DCEU, but each film will be its own little thing, kind of, sorta. So you're kind of having both. You know what I'm saying? You're in a shared universe, but if you're watching it and you don't want to watch it under the, through the spectrum of it's, Batman is in this world and Superman is here, but you can, or you don't have to. It's, I think you'll have, it's going to be, it's kind of smart too to me. I think that. Rick, any thoughts on that?
Okay, no, they're certainly not going to walk away from doing DC films altogether. It is my belief, though, that in terms of like a shared universe, it'll be very limited, if at all, and I think they're going to focus on Batman. I think they will focus on Batman at that point. We might even get another kind of Nolan-esque style trilogy or something. That's my belief. I hope that we don't get there, because there's, I still really like Henry Cavill as Superman. I want to see a sequel. I want to see him shine in that role. The whole cast is great. I don't want Affleck to jump ship. So I'm hoping that none of this happens, and we just start getting good films with this cast of characters, so to speak.
Yep.
All right. Very good. Very good. Good response. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna edit this out too. Okay. Let me find another question. Kind of threw me off my game there for a second. All right. Okay. A lot of questions about Ben Affleck calling it quits. So I think we've ran that into the ground. I mean, what else is there to say about that?
Yeah.
More questions
a lot of them are the same.
Yeah. A lot of scrapping the universe. Okay. Okay. Here. Let's do this one. All right. Fernando wants to know that, let's say things go good with the DCEU going forward, and Ben Affleck makes the Batman, but he doesn't direct. Could you see Ben Affleck directing a sequel or a prequel of that film, maybe even a prequel with a younger actor playing Batman, but still being the same Batman as his Batman, but younger?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. So,
like Godfather 2 style.
Yeah. Bottom line is, will Affleck, even if he doesn't direct a Batman, do you see him directing a solo Batman film at all? Period. Ever. Rick?
Only if he stars in it. I don't see him directing a Batman film that he's not the star.
And
I just don't.
I don't know why after this drama, I can't see. I'm saying, okay, I couldn't do it back then, but you know what? Now, by God, I can do it. So no, I think that's done. He's put the nail into that, and that coffin is gone as far as him directing, and they're going to bury that. It's unfortunate, but no, I don't see him ever directing a Batman film again. I do have some thoughts about doing a prequel with another actor, but what do you think about that? Go ahead and talk about that. Could that work?
About a prequel?
A prequel with a younger actor playing the same Batman.
Yeah, I think it can work. I think it just has to be good. I mean, it all comes down to it being good. I just wanted to talk about the Affleck thing really quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I feel if he comes back after, like, you know, for a second one, I think that's a lame move. That's like, man, you should have done the first one. He would get a lot of flack, I think. He gets some ass.
And you know what? This we haven't brought this up, and I think it's important. I think I've had so many questions about is Ben Affleck's solo Batman film going to be is he going to do just one, or will he do two or three? And I've always thought maybe, you know what, while he was still directing that, you know what, he may do a couple more after that. But now I think this is he'll make this one film, maybe. You know, we'll see if we get to it. But if he does make it, I think that's it. I think that's it as far as solo Batman films with Ben Affleck, and that's another thing that sucks about it too. Not only are we not going to get him as a director, in a Batman film, we probably, I want to say they're numbered, but I don't think we're not going to get another Batman film with Ben Affleck after this, if and when this next Batman happens. That's my opinion. Rick, any thoughts on that before we move on? Or
no, I don't think Ben Affleck's ever.
Yeah. I hope we do. I hope so. I hope so. I know he loves the character. You know, even what was it? Did you send a picture the other day, Rick, of he was visiting some little kids and drawing a picture of Batman with them? And
yeah, I think that was Ryan. That actually.
Okay, it might have been Ryan. And that shows the heart he has for like the character. Like if he was so like a bugged by the whole situation, I don't think he would do stuff like that. People see him as Batman now. He even said, he's like, yeah, people will yell at me in the street. They'll go, "You're the bomb in Phantoms," or "What's up, Batman?" And he even said, you know, it's a cool thing, man. People see you as that, you know. His kids love that he's Batman. I think he likes being Batman. I think he's able to separate being Batman and being in charge of directing Batman. To me, I mean, that's how he kind of comes off as like, hey, man, I love being Batman. That's a cool gig. I don't know if I want to be in charge of directing Batman right now, which we all want him to do. And I think there's just a bigger pressure to that. If he's just playing Batman and says, hey, man, I'm playing Batman, like, I'm doing the best I can. Like, again, in BVS, a lot of attacks on it, but you walk away going, man, Ben Affleck was great as Batman.
Yeah, but and you know that, but here's the thing, is that you know that when he signed on for this, part of it was, and I'm sure in his mind was that, man, I'm gonna get to write and direct a solo Batman film, you know? Yeah. And now all of a sudden he's heart isn't into that part anymore. It's just, the whole thing sucks. It just sucks.
The pressure.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Real quick, thoughts about a prequel, younger actor, Armie Hammer, playing the same Batman, you know, in his prime Batman. I mean, you got 20 years, he's been in Gotham for 20 years. He said that in BVS. There's a lot of stories to be told. Was that something that would interest you all? It would interest me, actually. So, Rick, what do you think?
No, I'm interested in interesting things, right? So anything that they want to do with Batman that could be interesting, I'm up for it. But at the end of the day, right now, I just want all these stars to line up where Affleck continues to be Batman. Outside of that, I'm open. But I don't want this to be a failure for him. And I'm just crossing my fingers that somehow Justice League works. And then from there, I'm up for it. Do a prequel, do whatever, right? But
yeah, I want to see all the history. I want to see some of that stuff we've never seen on film. I'd love to see the interactions with, young Dick Grayson and, some of those early, stories. I feel like you have to answer the question of the dead Robin. I mean, there's a question mark hanging over that thing, and I think that could put butts in seats. What's going on with that?
Doing a prequel, even if you go, and I've said before, Ben Affleck could play a 30-year-old Batman.
I think so.
Just as easy as he could play a 45, 50-year-old Batman. He's, but I think, you do that, you do a prequel and you recast. You could, there's so much stories we tell, and you're also, it's kind of almost like you're rebooting, but you're not. That Batman world would exist before Man of Steel. There is no DC universe.
Yeah.
It's just Batman, and you wouldn't have to do it, you wouldn't have to include cameos, which I think they're moving away from that stuff, but you wouldn't have to worry about any of that and having to tie into a greater universe because it doesn't exist yet. So I think that's it kind of opens up, the
I don't know, WB might put something in it.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
They'd be like, well, Green Arrow hangs out with them now.
Exactly. So, whatever. All right, so Oliver. Oliver Chang has several questions, and I'm going to paraphrase. First part is, when do you think the Terio rewrite went down? Well, that had to happen a while ago. So, yeah. All that stuff Ben was saying when he was doing Live by Night Press, I'm not gonna say he was not telling the truth. I'll just say this. He was doing movie business type of stuff. It's called Hollywood, and that kind of stuff happens all the time. Rick, any thoughts on the time frame for when Terio was rewriting that script?
Yeah, it's hard to really say without more inside information. I'll just say this: it's been going on a while.
Yeah,
several months.
Okay, and here's second part, and essentially, and I hope I get it right. I guess basically the Shazam thing, Shazam, Black Adam, The Rock getting involved. What's the deal with that? I think they're hanging there. They're going to try that. I mean, The Rock's a huge star, man.
Yeah,
I mean, big. I think, and someone brought this up, and this is not Oliver's question, but do you think they're kind of going to replace Superman with Black Adam and with The Rock? Because it's weird. I mean, I don't want to say replace, but his powers aren't too much different. I know there's magic and stuff.
No, I don't. I think what would be smart, and I feel like this is kind of behind. Again, no, I have no insider information. I just putting pieces together. But The Rock and Henry Cavill, they're repped by the same person, like same manager. I think it would be smart to be The Rock versus Superman. I mean, not The Rock, Black Adam versus Superman.
Black Adam, yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a good movie, and The Rock's got great charisma. People want to see that.
So they're going to screw over Captain Marvel, Shazam, whatever. Is he still Captain Marvel in the comics, or they dropped that?
Yeah, well, they've called him Shazam since 2011. Okay. But I think that would actually be a great move. It puts Superman in a movie that people are will probably be watching, and I think that's a good move.
Are they going to make? Is Black Adam going to be an anti-hero type guy? I mean, is The Rock?
Well, that's what they said. If you've read the comics, Yeah, in the comics, Black Adam, he's been, a villain, versus Shazam and all that stuff. And then there was a run in JSA years back where he was part of the team, and he would do heroic things. It's a great story of the villain thinking he's right, and when you have that done well, then people connect. And again, how do you not connect to The Rock? Like I think that's one of the problems when he was a wrestler. He was a heel. And people just loved him so much because whatever he said was engaging, and so they kind of turned him into, wrestling terms. They turned him into a face,
Was he a villain when he was a wrestler?
Yeah. Okay. When he first came out, he was cocky.
Sorry, wrestling guys. I'm not a wrestling.
I'm a wrestling guy. That's
okay, that's all right. No offense.
Yeah,
no offense. No offense to the fans of wrestling. I just don't know. I don't want to come. I know some of them go. There's a lot of. I'll say this: a lot of comic book fans like wrestling, and I've seen that over the years, and I don't want to come off like I think wrestling sucks. I just never got into it. Like
I don't think all the wrestlers need to be in movies though, just because they got muscles. So I'll say that. The Rock
he can act, man.
Yeah.
He may not win an Oscar, but he's good. I really like him. Dwayne.
Well, I think he's a movie star, is what he is.
Yeah, he is. He is a movie star. Rick, any thoughts? You have any interest in that? The Black Adam, Shazam, Captain Marvel. His mama called him Captain Marvel. I'm gonna call him Captain Marvel. So whatever.
I think it'll be fun. I'm a big fan of Dwayne Johnson, man. I think The Rock is great. I just took my kids a couple weeks ago to see his new Disney film. He's like a Pacific. Yeah. Fabulous stuff, man. It's a really fun film, and he's great in it. And my wife pointed out how talented he was. He's like, because he sings several of the songs too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's an entertaining dude. So I'm more excited to just see him do a fun project, and it's DC related. Awesome, and I hope it works. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think he's talented, man. I guess a very talented guy.
Well, Justin, he had a great analysis. He just said it's real simple. He said he's a movie star.
Yep.
He's a movie star.
He's a movie star. He was that guy was born for this. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And one last thing I'll say.
Okay, go ahead.
He's also a class act. That guy, right? Anyway, that's all I just want to say. That he really is. Okay, moving on.
Okay, our old fan Rachel Daniels. She's one of our best listeners, and
she's always commenting.
Yeah, good stuff. Word on the street is that the Lego Batman movie is the best DC movie since The Dark Knight. Do you think Warner Brothers will greenlight more DC Lego focused movies like Lego Superman? Perhaps he had a couple of great quips in the Lego movie. I think they've already said it. I think the Lego movie franchise, and doing more Lego films is part of their plan, along with DC Comics and the Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts spinoff thing, whatever it is. So I think definitely you could see a Lego Superman movie. I think you'll get, would y'all want to see a Lego Superman movie, or is it?
Yeah, I don't know. He was in the Lego movie, and I know he's in the Batman one. That's kind of I feel like Batman is a little more versatile in the, how you can approach him. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'd be interested if they can make it happen. I know Channing Tatum does his voice in these movies, so you have a star like that. I think you can do it.
Yeah, you'll probably get a Lego movie sequel, I'm sure. I can definitely see another Lego Batman movie come down the pipe. So, and, I see it tomorrow. I'm trying to get Rick into a screening in Dallas. So
yeah, I emailed that gentleman. Yeah.
And, so I am super excited for it. And Rick, go ahead and plug our Lego Batman party again.
So our Lego Batman party is this Saturday at the, what is it called again, Bill? The theater?
Santikos Silverado 19 IMAX.
In Tomball, Texas.
Yes.
Just north of Houston.
Yes.
So we'll probably meet up at the bar area around like 5.
Yes, somewhere around there.
And then Wonder Woman will be here in the Big D.
Yep. It'll be in Dallas. And
that'll be our next.
We'll talk about that later.
Justice League, we're going to Mars.
Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll join Dr. Manhattan. up there.
John Jones too.
Oh, speaking of that, brought up Dr. Manhattan, Justin. Are they still planning on bringing Watchmen universe into the DC comic book universe? Because you had that thing in not Flashpoint, Rebirth.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything since. Is there, or maybe I'm just because I'm only reading Batman and I haven't seen anything. What's the deal with that?
It's coming. There's actually they're doing a Flash and Batman crossover coming up soon. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Jeff Johns is actually a part of that. But anyways, it's going to kind of delve a little more into that. There's been pieces that have weaved in. Dr. Manhattan has been a part of, not like it's him, Dr. Manhattan, but they're hinting at it in some of the Superman stuff. So yeah, I think it's a slow burn. They said it's going to be about 3 years before the whole thing is all, said and done. So yeah, still happening.
Okay, interesting. All right, one more question from the mailbag. Is there anyone, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, but anybody you would like to see direct Ben Affleck's Batman film? I mean, and you can be realistic or just, pipe dream or your wishful thinking, whatever you want. What do you think, Rick? Anybody who would like to see direct that film?
I say make it rated R, have Tarantino direct it, and let's turn this bad boy on its ear.
Oh, man.
That's okay.
Batman would be listening to a lot of 70s music in the Batmobile.
That's one that would not be under the realistic list of possibilities.
To be honest with you, I would love, this sounds crazy, I would love Nolan to direct it. It'll never happen, but I would love to see him approach, him being able to approach Batman differently than he approached his own, meaning it's more of a heightened reality and everything. Be interesting to see what he'd pull out of his hat. But again, that won't happen. I want Ben Affleck to direct it. That's what I want to direct it. But that's not happening either. So all of this is just hypothetical. But if I had to choose a director, like realistically, I mean, I'm only halfway kidding about Tarantino. But I don't know, man. That's tough. I tell you who I don't want to direct it is Zack Snyder. That I don't want. So
yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either. Justin, anybody? Any thoughts?
Man, I honestly don't have a single thought, and there's always there's like the one list that's going around, someone posted, and a lot of people saying Matt Reeves, and I want someone who's got a good handle on action. The one thing I'll say for Zack Snyder is he nailed that fighting scene, and you can't go backwards on that. You've got to be able to match the pace there. The guys who did John Wick, but I think they're doing Deadpool too. So, just someone who can balance story and action, really. That's who needs to step up, unless it's, an acclaimed director who's going to be like a name draw. I mean, I'm not saying I want this, but if it was like Steven Spielberg's doing Batman, I mean, they're not going to say no to that,
Or some of the names they throw out. George Miller, don't say that.
George Miller.
I just, I don't see.
I see George Miller doing Superman over Bat.
Yeah. That would be awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I just don't see a quote-unquote name director, established director, taking this gig, I mean, I'd love to see a Darren Aronofsky Batman film, just not the year one he came up with, but, I mean, he was being ridiculous on purpose when he wrote that script, because he knew it was never going to get made. But, Aronofsky, Fincher, but, I mean, you'd have to. That's a completely different way. You would have to do the Nolan approach, where they come in and pitch an idea and make the movie the way they want to make it. This thing is already set up to where they need someone to come in and just kind of direct the damn thing. But
I heard, I read a list earlier in the week. Like it said, like Peter Berg, who did he did Lone Survivor and Hancock. I don't know. Like he might have a cool style. Someone said Sam Mendes, since he's leaving 007. So
that's
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows, man?
Exactly.
Anyone could potentially jump on and do something. But you're right. I don't think this is an established director gig anymore. I think they need to go with someone who's a little less under the radar, who might bring a new voice to it. That's the only way I'd go. Like with Nolan. When Nolan did, he was didn't really have a idea who the heck he was unless you knew of Memento.
Memento, and he had done what was the one he did for Warner Brothers with Pacino and Robin Williams?
Yeah,
it was a good movie too.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, I didn't remember your name of that film. Insomnia. I got it.
Yeah, okay. Insomnia. There you go.
All right. Okay. So there you go, guys. We answered as many questions as you can as we could. Thanks for sending them in. We'll say a lot of them were y'all had a lot of the same questions, probably a lot of questions that we three ourselves have. What's going to happen with Ben Affleck? Who's going to direct? What's the future of the DCEU, and et cetera, et cetera. And I understand that's where all of our concerns are. So let's go out and plug a few things. Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, first off, we have Batman on Film t-shirts for you.
Yes. Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, so if you go to tpublic.com and you search Batman on Film, you can find them, or you can find the link on the Batman on Film proper webpage and Facebook, and I know that you put it out on Twitter as well, so just, follow there and you'll be able to get it, and we can update the page with new t-shirts here and there, but we got 2 right now. Check those out. Right now, if you get them today, you'll get them for, I think we have 2 more days for the introductory price of $14. So do that now. Wear some Batman on Film swag.
You know what? And anyone who if you do buy them, I appreciate it. Every bit, anything we make, we're going to put in. I'm going to put back into the podcast. So
yeah,
that's really the purpose. It's not, me and Rick aren't going to the bar or and whooping it up on.
But you can.
Yeah, we can. But yeah, not on your dime. But and so you know what? How about I may just give one away during the next podcast. So
yeah, and it's also cool. It's not just shirts. You can get like a cup or whatever you want. So we're doing it through TeePublic. You can really just get anything you want. Any color.
Yeah. Ordered me one. Ordered me one last night. I'm going to order another one too. I'm going to get one with each one of the current logos, and I'm going to give one away next podcast. So I'll have some kind of deal I'll put together on Batman on Film this week where you guys can, I don't know. I'll ask an easier trivia question and then email it in, and we'll pick somebody at random, and I'll pay for it myself, and I will send it to wherever you would like me to send it. So we'll do that next week. And also, I want to do something where we maybe, do something for charity. I know that I'm a big, my big charity is cancer.org, American Cancer Society. So, may look at doing something like that, in the near future. Like for the Dark Knight Rises podcast, we had, you could donate to American Cancer Society, and whoever had the biggest donation got to come on the podcast, and, some dude, donated $1,000 and,
wow,
got to sit in on the, Dark Knight Rises podcast. So,
that's cool.
I'm thinking something along those lines as well. So, all right, go ahead, Justin. You talked about the t-shirts, but what else? Got to plug real quick.
Yeah, okay, this week, I believe, is the week I'm going to drop the episodes of our Let's Go comic book show. So I'll put that on Twitter. So if you follow me at J_Rocka, you will get a link to see that. And so if you guys want to talk more comics, Batman included, it'll be on that show with my buddy Matt Ritchie. And then, again, we do the Let's Go proper show with my buddy Kelly, and that's at Let's Go Cast. Just check that out, and you'll find us. And, yeah, on Twitter again, J_Rocka, and just like talking to people on Twitter.
All right, Rick, you want to plug Undercooked Shrimp and Pepto-Bismol?
No Pepto-Bismol, sir, but I am feeling a little funky monkey. So I was going to actually plug the swag myself, but Justin did that. So just follow me on Twitter at ShewRick.
That's it for you? You have nothing else?
Again, I was going to go off about the swag, man, but
man.
He hit it. No, that's great. Just buy some shirts. I bought a shirt. Buy a shirt, come to Tomball, Texas for our party and next Saturday, and make plans to come to Dallas in June. Is it June? When's June?
Oh yeah, she's June.
Wonder Woman
June
is in June,
4th.
Rick. June 4th, sir. And
4th.
you know what? We need to take one on the road at some point. Maybe go to Los Angeles and do one, or
let's do Justice League in Los Angeles,
New York City, somewhere. All right.
New York
All right.
hey, Bill, you watched Batman '89 last night.
I watched Yeah,
I was going to bring that
real
up.
quick. My wife said, let's watch a movie. You can watch, she goes, you can even pick a Batman movie. And I said, all right. And I decided to watch Batman 89. I have not watched, now, first of all, that is the Batman film I have seen the most of all of them. Because, I mean, you're going back almost 30 years and, I mean, dude, I wore out like 3 VHS tapes on that thing. I used to watch it all the time. And so, but I haven't watched it from start to finish in years. And I watched it last night. And you know what? That thing, yes, I think the Nolan films are better, but there's something, it's one of the best Batman films. It's still really, really, really good film. And it brings me back, every time when I watch it, it brings me back to that Batmania, the hype, the excitement for that film back in 1989. And it's just, I think that's what makes it so fun to watch. And I think it holds up pretty well. But, and yeah, it's just, I really enjoyed watching it like that instead of just a piece here and there if it shows up on, Sci-Fi or whatever network randomly. So yeah, watched Batman 89 last night. That's what I did. That's the Batman thing I did for sure this week. All right. Rick, you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. You did anything Batman lately, Rick?
Man, I'm always doing something Batman. I'm hoping to get in to see Lego Batman tomorrow. That I do know.
Okay.
That's what
I'll follow up.
Got to watch Lego today then. Just the standard one.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to get informed on this character, that's all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. I'll let announcer Rachel take us out, and we'll catch you next time. Check out those t-shirts, and we're going to be giving one away on our next podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, batmanpodcastnetwork.com. You can listen to the podcast via iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spreaker, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film and on the BOF Facebook fan page at facebook.com/jet.batmanonfilm. Email Jett via jet@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at Shew Rick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOF Shew. For Jett, Rick, the BOF Roundtablers Justin and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thank you and good night.